Paint. Where did you learn to paint?
Just here and there, I must say.
Here and there?
Yeah, it's a hobby I picked up.
If I may interject,
What?
she was bedridden for a while. She used to have a teacher come to the house to give her lessons, and her name was Miss Rennie, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we didn't take art there.
No, I know you didn't, but I'm getting into that.
I went to one of the sisters at Sacred Heart, do a
What's
little,
that? A little art there?
yeah, for a while, a few years, yeah.
She used to draw a lot of women's fashions. That's
Yeah,
what I
paper
got
dolls.
started. Paper dolls, women's fashions, and she graduated into art.
But you were born painting, no, really?
Yeah.
How old were you, Aunt Sarah, when you started painting?
I don't remember. I guess about 12 or something, maybe. I didn't remember.
You told me, and I know you were bedridden. What was the matter?
Well, I wasn't in bed all the time.
No, but
really.
you didn't go to school regularly because you
I
had.
had a little operation on the back and I would form a boil every once in a while. So Miss Rennie told my mother about a clinic they had in Toronto. And my mother was quite worried about me at the time. So I went to this clinic at the KW hospital and then they sent me to Sick Children's Hospital. So then I had a larger operation, you know. They said there was a bit of bone left in from the first.
From the first
That
operation
was
that caused the
aggravating
boil.
it, you see.
But what was the matter with your back? A disc or something that started it all?
No,
up?
a rib was removed.
A rib was removed. Why was it removed?
Well, to get this little bit of bone out.
No, but that's after. The first operation, why did that start?
Pleurisy pneumonia.
Ah,
And you know what they did at that time? They put a little hole and drained pus out. That was a common practice then. They don't do it anymore. But that's
Is that
what they
right?
did at that time.
do I understand that some organization helped you go to Toronto? Was
Was
it like
either
the Rotary?
Rotary or the Kinsman, I forget which.
Rotary.
They just drive you there like businessmen. You know?
But they didn't
Come
pay
pick
for
you
it?
up.
They drove you
I
there?
don't know. I heard mothers say once the city of Toronto helped pay for it.
Yeah.
I heard her say that. Yeah.
They check your income and one thing.
Is that right?
Yeah. Not your income.
Yeah.
That's it.
So then when I was ready to come out, another Rotarian came and drove me back. I think I was in about 6 weeks at that time.
Did your mother and father visit you there when you were there?
Dad visited me every week. Aunt Sarah came once and Mother came once.
Aunt Sarah
They
who?
only allowed 2 visitors
Aunt Sarah who? Sarah
a week.
Cudia?
Yeah.
Sarah Cudia.
Do you know, I can remember your uncle, was it Joe and Gerald or Tony? They came to visit me and they couldn't come in. And somebody told me, look out the window, and there they were against the fence of the street, looking up, and that was all, but they brought some fruit. And one of the nurses came in and said, oh, you have too much fruit in there, can we give some to the others? I said, sure.
How old were you when this was all
15.
going? 15, but you were at home for quite a while, weren't you? Like for
Before
a
that.
number of years? Like you didn't go to school, you were,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't months, it was years. Is that right?
About 3 years.
3 years?
So then Dr. Pruder, do you remember him? He was like an inspector, came around one day. Pruder, yeah. And they gave me a form of exams. And then they said, well, yes, I passed, but still, I missed a lot of school. I should try to go back and get my answers. So I did. And then that year was kind of easy for me. And so I got 2 years in, which I thought was pretty good, being I was older than the other.
Mm-hmm. How old are you now?
Oh,
Well, it's
I told you when I was
1920.
born.
Well, I just wanted you to say it. Nobody's going to be surprised. No, I just wanted, because I know, but historically, somebody's going to see this. My great-great-grandchildren, they'll be rather amazed to know who you are, I'm sure.
Oh. Well, anyway, I
You're
told you when I
going to
was born.
survive this, Aunt Joan, honestly.
That's true.
Tell me, did you have any pets when you were at home, Uncle Jim?
No, we had a cat called Mike, and what was the dog's name?
Jet.
Jet.
And put your hands out of your face there so you look beautiful.
Named dog named Jet. We had a couple of dogs. So
Well,
that-
yeah, because the Jet I knew, was
The
it one
first
of
one was
many?
kind of crabby, and the other one had a different
Yeah,
name.
we had. Well, Dad had. I remember a black and white dog that was sort of a collie.
Jovi.
No, this is before then.
Yeah,
When we lived at 404 and a half
yeah, I
East
remember
King
that one
Street,
too.
and
Was that 400 and a half?
404
404
and a half. Yeah.
and a half. Okay,
Yeah,
so I got the number wrong.
Yeah, it was a railroad type building with 4 rooms, no basement.
There was 4 or 3? I was told there were 3.
4.
There were 4 rooms. So describe what was
kitchen.
it? Kitchen?
3 bedrooms.
3 bedrooms. And so would the boys stay in one room and the girls in the next, and your mother and father?
I think I slept in mom and dad's room.
Yeah.
I don't know who I slept with. I slept with somebody. And because the bed was big enough to hold 2 people, but I don't recall who I slept with. Whether I slept with Joe, maybe I slept with Joe, I think I did.
What years was this? Between what year and what year?
I'd have to say roughly from 1925 to before that, 1924 to 1928. Maybe even earlier than 1924.
And then
we came to Toronto.
Come back now. Don't worry.
Dad bought a business on Annette Street.
Right.
And near the end of 28. And
Is that the year?
Yeah, and it went bust. So he went back to Kitchener in I think 29 or 30.
Mm-hmm.
And so he probably went there in 29. It's crazy. The dates just don't gel unless you think about them.
Did he rent this property? He rented it. Who did he rent it from?
Oh, I don't know. It's a Jewish person that owned it.
It wasn't the one in front of the property?
No. And his rent was $15 a month.
$15 a month?
In behind the room where the kitchen was housed, there was a coal shed, and that's where Dad used to have his coal delivered. And I remember many winter days running out into the shed to get a pail of coal for the kitchen stove. We had a coal stove in the kitchen, and eventually Dad cut the floor and made a trap door, and he made a potato cellar or a vegetable
root cellar,
root cellar underneath the floor, and he used to put his potatoes there and carrots and whatever.
Did you used to grow celery in the backyard and make money, and you kids sold it so you buy the coal with that?
Yeah.
Is that what you did, Aunt Joan?
Say that
Did
again?
did you grow celery in the backyard? So and you used to sell the celery door to door to buy the coal for the winter?
We used to go to the market.
For the coal.
Pardon me?
We used to go to the market.
And sell it at the market?
Sell it door to door.
And door to door?
Yeah, I think so.
No, well, as far as I remember, we used to go to the market, rent a table. It was like 50 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And the day before, we used to prepare the celery and for sale. And Saturday morning, we'd go to the market 5 o'clock, whatever. And we had a good day. We did fairly well. We didn't. But Dad used to accumulate maybe about $35, $40, maybe a little more. And he used to apply that against coal, which cost about $5 a ton at the time. And we needed about 8 tons to get through the winter. And he had a garden in the back, which he extended. And he used to grow the celery there. And in the fall, when he used to pick up the stalks, he used to bury it for a month and a half to tenderize it. Get this nice pale
White?
white celery. And then at the proper time, he used to pull it out of the area, clean it up, and prepare it for sale.
Is that right? So he didn't sell it green, like it was white celery?
No. He used to get these little hearts for, celery.
Oh yeah, the nice little celery hair.
Yeah. So
on Saturday night, what was the ritual?
I used to take Mom used to give me the kitchen with a galvanized tub, and I used to take my bath.
How big was the tub?
I don't know, about 36 inches.
Is that how big were you? Would you get your bum in it?
Oh, I figure I was about 12.
It wasn't a big tub?
No, it was just a galvanized laundry tub.
A laundry tub?
Yeah, and I used to close the door.
But that's by 2 feet by 2 feet, isn't it?
Yeah, roughly, yes.
Yeah. And about 1.5 feet deep?
Yeah.
It was a square or round?
Round. I used to fill that up with hot water from the stove because there was a hot water tank on the stove. And I used to close the door, undress and dive in, and I used to splash around in that until I had my fill. Yeah, and then I used to crawl out and dry myself. And,
did you take the tub on Saturday?
I don't recall.
You don't recall?
I don't recall.
Yeah.
So look what you missed.
All
She
the
was
fun
the
that
only
she missed.
unclean one in the family.
Yeah. What was the first job you had when you came out of school?
I came out of school. I worked for, let's see, what would you call them?
You worked with
An
somebody
agent
called
that
Rita,
handled
didn't you?
magazines,
Yeah,
you know, got
I remember
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
What was her last name?
Kitchener News? Did you work for Kitchener News?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah,
the
Sherry
News.
was it.
Yeah, that's right.
Sherry.
Mhm.
The Kitchener News. Did you ever work? Did all of you? Did you all at one time or another work at B.F. Goodrich or General
I
Rubber?
never did.
You never did. My mother
Merchants
did.
was the most.
Your mom worked there?
Merchant Rubber. Okay, Merchant Rubber, which became part of.
Well, it's Dominion.
It became Dominion Tire.
It was.
Well,
It was at
owned
that-
by Dominion Tire.
When I noticed, I went through. I happened to have the booklet and the material regarding your mother's funeral, and in it you're listing the floral tributes. You know, it was from the boot department or the various
Yeah.
departments in that particular company. So you didn't work there. Did you work there, Uncle Jim? At any time?
Yeah.
Nearly everybody in our family did.
I worked in Merchants Rubber 38, 39. 2 or 3 years, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
And I worked on boots, rubber boots.
Making them, vulcanizing them,
I
or
was what
what?
they call a toe liner. I used to run the toe lining machine because the boots were very, very heavy, and you had to have a pressurized machine to help you round off the band on the toe of the boot.
On the toe there.
Yeah, and the salary or the wage at that time, the last year I worked was 59.5 cents an hour.
Jim, I can remember when you went on strike and they got the huge sum of 5 cents an hour.
You won the strike?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did. So.
yeah,
Huh?
And
that was the first time they had.
I was a member of the union, but I never paid a nickel for the union. They
Here?
made me editor of their publication, and the name of the publication was the Rubber Band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I used to, write it right in the blurbs and run it off on the Gestetner and hand it out to the people. And I don't know how many issues I did, but
Did you keep a copy?
no, I don't have a copy. I still have my membership card though. United Rubber Workers of America, Local 67. Well, when I remember that, it really boggles my mind. And I don't know what I did last week.
Did you finish high school?
No, I didn't graduate. I went there 5 years, and I didn't graduate.
5 years, Kitchener Waterloo
Yeah.
Collegiate.
Yeah.
And were you active in any sports?
I was a four-letter man.
What's that mean?
Track, hockey, football, and what else? No, 3-letter.
3-letter?
3-letter,
Did
yeah.
you
Did you-
swim? You used to swim.
No, I didn't swim.
You did
I was,
swim, but you didn't compete in swim.
I was junior, intermediate, and senior sprint champion while I was there.
Track and field we're talking
Yeah,
about?
track and field, and I played on a couple ice hockey teams that they had, and I played football. At that time, it was considered with some distinction.
So I took after you, is that it?
I guess so. And I played football in the service also. I played with when I was in Barryfield, I played with the Barryfield Bombers,
Mhm.
which played. We used to play Queen's University in
Is that right? When did you finish high school? What year did you leave?
37.
37, so then you went to work in the rubber?
I did a couple things. I got involved in writing sports, and I wrote sports for a while with some weekly newspaper. No big deal. And I was anxious to get into some journalistic area, but I needed money to survive, so a job opening was available at the Merchants Rubber on the night shift. I used to work from 6 to 4 in the morning. So that kind of clamped my sprinting style, although I competed for 2 or 3 years after that.
That's a 10-hour shift.
Yeah.
You worked 10 hours.
We used to come down to Toronto. I don't know if they still have the same track, but I broke the track record in the 100-yard dash at Broadview. And I held or was a co-holder of several records at Kitchener Y.
Mm-hmm.
And indoor.
Why
and
don't you
outdoor.
go back and look and see if they're still there? Those
No, they
records when you
tore the
go.
Y down.
But wouldn't they have kept the record?
The Y was torn down and they rebuilt it in the Kitchener East End.
Yeah, I know
And,
that.
So they, it's funny how people work against you. They just wanted to eliminate my record, so they tore the building down. So effectively, they didn't have the track, so they couldn't run on it anymore.
And Joan,
Yeah.
with your father, and tell me about your father, who I obviously knew. What would you describe him as? What kind
Very
of man?
gentle man,
Did he
wonderful man.
did he know how to read and write?
Yeah.
Was he self-taught?
himself.
He
yes.
taught himself?
Uh-huh.
I heard a story that he taught himself with the help in the army or something
Yes,
like
that's
this.
true.
What was the story of
Italy.
that?
Yeah, when he was in Italy in the army,
Mm-hmm.
and he was anxious to learn to speak, to write and read. And I
You
don't
got a
know,
sergeant.
the
a sergeant.
officers or sergeant was it,
Mhm.
who assisted him.
Did he serve his time in what area of the country? Did he ever tell you that?
No, I don't recall.
Northern Italy.
Northern, because usually they ship him from one end of the country to the other.
Yeah,
Did he ever tell you that he served other than in Italy, like at some
no,
foreign?
he didn't.
No.
He, in his material, which I can't find right now, was some articles and some materials relating to North African colonies. Maybe he had cousins or something like that went there, but he was in.
Let me give you an aside on that.
Okay,
My father-in-law was from Vida,
right.
and he
His
taught
name was what?
Alcamo.
What was his first name?
Ignazio.
Ignazio
Yeah.
Alcamo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was with the Italian army that attacked, at that time it was called Abyssinia,
Right.
now Ethiopia. And Italy wanted to get in the colonization of Africa, like France and England and Germany. So the only area that they could get involved in was Abyssinia. So they decided that they would attack and use Abyssinia as one of their colonies. So what happened is they sent an army over there, and the army was soundly trounced
Slaughtered.
at Ottawa, a place called Ottawa.
Yep.
And my father-in-law was there, and he just escaped with his life by a miracle. He was able
Maybe
to
that's
hide.
the article that I have.
Yeah, and although my father never spoke of it, he was lucky to be alive, and we came back, and shortly thereafter he asked for my mother-in-law's hand, and there was a whole Megillah there. But they eventually married, and she had 8 kids.
Tell me about your father. Tell me a story about him.
My father used to take me almost everywhere he went. We'd go fishing. We used to go fishing. And
Where'd you go fishing?
We used to go along the Grand River.
And what did you catch?
Redfin, shiners.
Shiners?
Yeah, little silvery fish.
They're like smelts?
Yeah, something like smell. And we used to leave the house, and he'd always bring a couple bottles of root beer. Or ginger beer, whatever he made, and I said, we'd get about halfway to the river, and I'd say, Dad, I'm thirsty.
Did you go by those scallop bridges near Bridgeport?
Freeport.
Freeport.
We went over that.
No, we went several places. We
We
used
just
to go
went
to
over that
Freeport.
bridge this morning.
We used to go to Freeport, and mostly we went to a place, Schneider's Flats.
Where was it? I used to be taken to a cottage on the river there. It was owned by a neighbor or
Yeah.
something.
Hannibal had one.
Yeah.
Did the Hannabergs have a place there? On the river, and there was a
Yeah.
steep slope down into the flat of the river?
Yeah.
Is that, and where was that near, Aunt Sarah?
Well, it was on the Grand River.
Yeah, but-
I don't remember just where.
Lexington,
Oh, I don't know.
near Lexington,
Lexington.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
near Bridgeport.
Oh, anyway.
And so you used to go fishing with him. Did you ever go mushrooming with him?
I went mushrooming with him, dandelion
Along
picking,
the railway.
you name it.
Did you eat dandelions as a salad? You make
Yeah,
wine
in
of
the
them.
spring, they used to be nice and tender.
So you eat dandelion salads today, or
Yeah.
you wouldn't touch
I
them?
wouldn't
Oh,
eat
no, I'd
it,
eat
I
that
wouldn't
one.
eat the dandelions.
No, well,
They're
you
nice
wouldn't,
in
but
the
they were.
spring,
I
but
wouldn't,
later on
no.
they
I
get
like
kind
them.
of.
I
They're
like the
bitter.
mushrooms, yeah.
Would,
Put a
and
silver, put a
a
silver
quarter in
coin
it, so it
in
turned.
the pan, so
Dad never made a
if it
mistake.
turned black, that meant.
Dad,
It was
he was
poisonous?
mushrooms.
He always knew what to
We
get.
all, but we never had any poison mushrooms.
No,
Tell
he-
me about Aunt Sarah. Tell me about your mother. Tell me something about her. I don't know much about Grandma because she died when I was 2.
Well, I think she was kind of a quiet woman, but she certainly had high principles
Mhm.
and a very good mother she was to all of us.
Yeah. When was she diagnosed as having, did she die of cancer, as I understand?
Yeah,
And when was that she diagnosed? A year before, 2 years before
I
she
don't
died,
really
3?
remember.
You don't remember?
I can
2
give you,
years ago.
I can give you some detail on that.
Mm-hmm.
She always suffered from stomach pains, and they kept diagnosing it as gallbladder, you know. But they didn't do anything about it. I guess they figured it would pass, you know. And one morning, I heard her calling, and she said, "I can't go to the bathroom."